This is Isaac Abraham. I'm an attorney. I practice personal injury. I also handle traffic matters and criminal stuff. But today we're going to be discussing a personal injury case that I've been working on for close to 2 years. And my client is here. He's not a paid actor. I'm not going to use his full name out of respect for him and his privacy. I'll just call him Sam. It's a similar variation to his first name, so I figured it makes sense. And I ran that by him, and he said it's okay. So, Sam, thank you for coming.
Of course, sir. Thank you for having me.
I know we said it before we started, but good morning to you. It's quite a drive for you. You're coming out of state, so I really appreciate that.
Of course.
And we'll just, jump right into it. Our story begins actually before we even met. It was at the date of your accident. That happened around May of 24.
Yeah.
If you could just tell us a little bit about the accident.
So my wife at the time, she was driving our car, and I was a passenger in the car. We were heading down a two-way street when someone ran a stop sign and T-boned the vehicle. It totaled the car, and
sorry to cut you off. You had dash cam footage. I remember this.
Yes.
We're not going to put that in as a link on this podcast, fellas. But I saw the accident. It was very frightening.
Yes, it was. It was terrifying at first, but thankfully we all walked away. At first we thought we were all fine.
Right.
And we thought it was just physical damage.
Physical damage in terms of property damage to the vehicle.
To only the vehicle, not to us. We were sore immediately after the accident, but nothing crazy that you can walk away from.
Right. That's kind of what brought you to my office. How did you hear about me? Radio, internet?
The internet. I Google searched you, and I used this website called Avo.
Oh, okay.
For attorneys. Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. I'm out there. So I think you get into this accident end of May, of 24. You end up coming into my office early August. So, just tell us a little bit about the initial meeting.
So I initially came to you trying to get what I believed was the full amount for the property damage to my vehicle because I believed Geico lowballed me.
Right. You had a beautiful car. I remember. I think it was a Volvo.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't remember if it was a sports car or a sedan.
No, it was a sedan, but
you souped it up.
Yeah, I was really proud of that car.
Yeah, and when in my teenage years we used to do stupid things like cruise the bully. So I noticed all the technical changes that you made to it. You definitely made it a beautiful car. So I guess they were giving you what they thought was the total loss on the vehicle, and that definitely was not the replacement value. Your car was worth way more.
Right.
But very quickly when we met each other, I noticed something different. I mean, you were sweating bullets, if you remember. You were in tremendous pain.
Yeah.
Like literally tremors going through your body.
Yeah. I was taking ibuprofen and Tylenol for 5 or 6 weeks to deal with the pain.
Which is not the healthiest thing in the world.
No, it was terrible. But as a guy, going to a doctor and saying I have pain or this is a problem is really difficult to do.
Right. And then also I recall you told me you have a military background. You want to tell us about that a little bit?
Yes. So I was in the Army.
Beautiful. God bless you.
Yes, I was discharged in 2015. I served as a 74 Delta in the U.S. Army, which is a seaborne specialist. And we essentially detect and decontaminate equipment and personnel from biological, radiological, nuclear, and chemical threats.
Oh, wow. Looks like Trump could use you right now.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, God bless you for your service.
Thanks.
Were you deployed anywhere or you just had training?
No, I was a reservist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, and how old are you when you signed up? 18?
Yes, I was 18.
Was it like ROTC? Did it help you pay for college or something? Or
it did help me pay for college. Yeah. But it was a pathway for me to gain my citizenship.
Oh, wow.
I was a green card holder at the time, and
Right.
I wanted to find a faster pathway to gain my citizenship.
Very smart. It looks like you're a mover and a shaker.
Yeah.
Well, God bless you again. I mean, this serving this wonderful country that's done so much good for all of us.
Yes.
I myself, I'm first generation American, and I can't even imagine what it would be if my parents, didn't decide to make the move.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have a lot in common. So So obviously you're trained and you know how to take pain. You're on these ibuprofens, which I'm not a doctor, but I can't imagine that's good for the stomach for 5 6 weeks straight.
No.
So I remember just kind of breaking the ice and saying, "Hey Sam, I know you talked to me about your car, but you don't look so good, and I'm assuming this happened from this accident. I mean, you did show me the video, and I was blown away. So I think it's miraculous you even stayed alive. I'll be honest with you, because you got T-bone on your side,
Yes.
and I guess we just, at that time, we just said, "Hey, maybe you should consider bringing a bodily injury case, a personal injury case." And that's how I guess we started. I guess it resonated with you, right?
Yeah. You actually didn't bring up the bodily injury case. You said you should go get treatment, stop putting it off.
Right.
Yeah.
That's something that I would do.
Yeah.
On a side note, it's not a secret. You see on the podcast, I wear a yarmulke. I'm an Orthodox Jew. I believe everything comes from above. So I'm not a pressure guy. I don't twist arms. And not only that, I'm very concerned for my clients. I pray for them. I was praying
Yes,
for
you
your
have.
recovery. Literally, I take that seriously because I'm a believer. And we'll get more into about the success of this story. But just seeing you today, not trembling, not sweating bullets, it's very gratifying. Thank the Lord. It's a beautiful thing. So you went to go get checked up, and then what happens next?
So I actually went to the doctor before our first meeting.
Right, you went somewhere in the Bronx.
Yes.
I remember that.
And because I had this persistent back pain, and
Right,
that was the only visit I had. It was like 5 or 6 weeks after the accident because
right,
nothing was improving. And I again didn't follow up after that
right,
um, until you told me, "Hey, go get treatment." And after our meeting, I went and found a pain management specialist um, in Brooklyn.
right. I think I may have recommended it to you.
Yes.
Right, and so just to speed it along, so yes, so once you realize you have a bigger problem, you sign up with us, and then we give you the recommendations. Yeah, usually people go to physical therapy, chiropractic work first. I believe you did one or two sessions, but it was evident very early on that it just wasn't enough.
No, physical therapy was not working at all for me. It was
Right,
not. It was not improving my pain. There was no
right,
difference at all in my condition. So I pursued pain management to help address the pain. We started with injections into my spine, into the area,
right,
to help reduce the inflammation and help block some of the pain signaling.
right,
And that helped for about a week at a time. So I was
right.
going back weekly for those injections.
And then I think after the sixth or the eighth time, I actually mentioned to you, and this is like already 2 months out, and I'm like, "Hey Sam, you can't be taking this stuff like candy.
No,
It's not good for the body. It's not meant for that."
no,
Usually, I think my father-in-law pulled something in his back. He took a shot, and it lasted him like 2 3 years.
yeah,
I mean that's when it works right. To come back weekly, that's it's a scary proposition. I mean,
yeah.
you're young now, but with steroids and this and that, it's for the body. It's just not it's quick fixes don't work.
No, no, it's not conducive long term.
No, absolutely not. So I'm looking at my timeline over here. So eventually, we're zooming forward now. We're going from August, 2 months out, and give it another 2 months. You end up having an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon.
Yes. But before that, I had an ablation.
Right. I mean, that's what I was what I was gearing up for.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the surgeon says, let's go for this ablation. Can you just describe for the public what an ablation is?
So an ablation is they use an electrode to physically destroy nerve tissue
Right.
and help reduce pain by not having nerve tissue generate pain signals. At least that's the way it was explained to me.
Hmm.
And After the ablation was completed, I was pain free for a few months.
Right, and I should have mentioned earlier, you were not able to work this entire time.
No, no, I was not. I was out
Right,
of work for months.
right, and accumulating debt,
Yeah, I was putting everything on
hardship,
my credit cards
it's
and
rough.
taking out personal loans.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we even had discussions, should you take a loan against your case? And, I kept telling you, this is me just looking out for my clients, like, try to avoid it by any means necessary
Yeah.
because, the rates are quite high.
Yes.
That should be really the last resort. Not saying it's a bad thing. If you need it, you need it, but, it should I mean, we didn't get that far, but, the interest rates are astronomical.
Yes.
Nothing like anything we're used to. It's not a rate on a house. Even mortgage rates are a little high these days. It's definitely not that rate. It's you know a few levels higher than that, let's say.
Yeah.
So I mean the ablation again, chiropractic work, physical therapy, that's probably the least invasive. Taking shots, that's a step up from that. Ablation is already, we're getting a little bit serious here, but it's not a full blown, it's a procedure, of course, but this is not, we're not building Frankenstein here.
Yeah.
But, this is probably a good segue to a prior. Why is it that the doctor chose to do an ablation first here? I mean, obviously, because we want to be as less invasive as possible, but what was the issue here?
So back in 2021,
Right,
I had a slip and fall at work,
right,
and that was the initial injury to my back.
right,
So I had a microdiscectomy, which is when it's a surgical procedure where they go in and move a small amount of disc tissue from your spine
right.
to help reduce pain. And after that surgery, my back problems were gone.
This is regards to the first accident that you
The
had at work.
first accident I had at work, that's correct.
Right,
Until my accident where I was T-boned.
right. So I might as well. I'll bring in a few points here. So certain challenges that we had with our case with Sam was, like Sam mentioned earlier, he waited 5 to 6 weeks before he came to my office to sign up. So there was a very big gap in treatment. So when it came time to talk to adjusters and to the other side, to get him the maximum award possible based on his injuries, it kept coming back up. Oh, it couldn't have been that bad. I mean, he didn't do anything about it for the first 5 to 6 weeks. It couldn't have been that bad, but it was very bad. And I did tell them effective. I managed to impress on them effectively that well, Sam he's a tough guy. He would have been a sidekick of Clint Eastwood's, back in the '70s in a cowboy film. He's not one to cry and complain. And like we said earlier, we're talking about 5, 6 weeks straight of ibuprofen, just painkiller, painkiller, painkiller. Not the best decision at the time, but when you're going through so much pain, it's understandable. So, and I think that resonated. I think they understood that. Then our next challenge, which was just as big, and insurance companies love doing this stuff. They love pinning the blame, the fault on something else, and not what they're contracted to insure you for, so to speak. Like, oh, it didn't happen from this accident. No, there was a prior accident, and this accident basically made that prior accident worse. They kept saying he always had pain. It never went away. Then no, we actually had to show proof, do some digging, pick up his old file. That was a whole thing too. It's not so simple. We contacted wherever he got his medical work done. We gathered those records. We put that together, and we showed that that no, Sam was actually back to work after that first accident and very physically active. Not a small man by any means. How tall are you?
6'2".
6'2", and he works out, plays sports, all that good stuff. I mean, in the meantime, before he got into his second accident, but so we had those two big challenges, and they kept resurrecting themselves in their ugly heads. So The first settlement. So also, before I even get into settlements here, I should say after receiving after getting into his Sam's first accident, I will tell you, he learned a lot of lessons, and he got himself proper coverage that most people don't even think about. Most people, they get when they get a car, they cover themselves for the state minimum. Which is $25,000. Um, and well, I'm not going to get into amounts, but um, Sam invested into something that's called underinsured motorist coverage, which means if somebody hits you and they're not insured or they're underinsured, or let's just say specifically they're underinsured, um, so long as you get permission from your carrier that you can settle with the other side and still continue your case, you're eligible for that underinsured coverage. So this case was settled twice over, and I'm proud to say that we were able to get him the maximum tender twice over, not once, but twice,
Yes.
both against the other side and against Sam's personal insurance. Um, so the first round was on the other side. We like we mentioned earlier, we had the dash cam footage. There was plenty of physical damage there, and they just started waving the white flag. We got the permissions we needed from his carrier, which, by the way, if an attorney misses out on it, it's a malpractice. So this is where experience comes in, and we continued on. But it was his own carrier that gave us the issues, really.
Yeah, that was surprising because
It
I was insured with that company
Yeah,
for almost a decade.
yeah. But just to get real, I mean, everybody's out there for trying to cover their own what,
Yeah.
and it's not a small nut, and they were fighting tooth and nail. I mean, you think I'm insured, I'm covered, and unfortunately, and this is exactly why I say people need attorneys. I mean, on a side note, it didn't happen with you, but I don't remember if it was somebody that called me directly or like a war story that I heard from somebody. Guy gets hit by an 18-wheeler, and this smooth talking adjuster calls him up and settles out the case with him for $700. Can you imagine such a thing?
It's terrible.
I mean, an 18-wheeler, for context, when they're interstate, it's a law mandatory. They need to have themselves $1 million coverage. Now, I'm not saying the guy was owed $1 million, but he came out pretty banged up. And by the time he realizes that $700 ain't going to cut it, and he tries to get back in the game, all of a sudden he finds out no, he's out. He's been ejected. That it is so. So if they could take advantage, they will. They could come at you all nice. It's kind of like the snake in the Garden of Eden. They'll sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, but the trouble you get into after that, it's horrendous. So again, just coming back to our case and with your injury. So they're coming at us, and they're constantly telling us about the gap in treatment, and they're trying to put all the blame on the prior accident. So I'm reaching out to them. As you know, we had communication the entire time. I hope you were happy with the communication.
Yes, there was communication multiple times a week
I
by
mean,
your office staff and yourself.
just to differentiate from everyone else out there, because sometimes you get this feeling like everyone is doing this stuff these days. I think people appreciate, being able to reach their attorney. And it's not like, oh, you call me and I pick up on the dime. But you know what? My promise to you and all my clients is as soon as possible. You know what I mean? That I could call you or text that I will.
Yeah.
There's no question that's too small. You're not annoying me. And two heads are better than one, right? So then it takes two, and it takes two to tango. So I am just on my end of this. I'm talking to your policy now
Oh, I'm sorry to interject, Isaac,
Go
but
ahead.
I remember there were 2 times you drove out to my location because we needed something signed ASAP, and you
Yeah.
physically drove to me
Yeah.
to meet me at the doctor's office in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Yeah. Once in Brooklyn, actually once in Queens.
Yes.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, time constraints, this, that, the other. I'm not one to push things off, and sometimes you got to roll up your sleeves and do it yourself. So I mean, this is how we, look. I know attorneys, they could sit on cases for years, and it's just collecting dust. So by me, my attitude is there's no case too small or too big. Everyone deserves your time and attention. And you're putting your faith in me. Like I said to you before, I'm a believer. So my whole thing is that I'm the messenger, but I got to be a good messenger. I got to do my job. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's funny. You reminded me of that of those drives. Not bad at all. If I'm driving on the belt, I'm either listening to music or just like a good class on how to maximize or a Bible class, whatever. Or I'm talking to a friend. I'm calling my mother. You know what I mean? So it's not the end of the world kind of a thing. And Queens, happened to be not so far from the office. I remember that. Thank you for recognizing that. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
no, it's a lot of attorneys would not do that.
No, I know that. Most attorneys are playing golf. You know what I mean? They already made their money. They're not hungry. Or even if they're hungry, they're kind of like, you need me, I don't need you. It's like a prima donna kind of a thing. I'm a people's person. I always was. So I'm not trying to hide behind God knows what. So I appreciate that. So back to our story. I am I'm reaching out to them, and this is at the point of like when you had your ablation done. So I mean, they were offering us like butt kiss, and it was insulting because it
Yeah.
was it was actually lower than what the other side had given you, and I'm just like, that's unacceptable. We're not doing that. And and what ends up happening is there was always a risk, and this is also why we didn't rush a settlement, because the doctors told you clearly you're a young man. There's a potentiality for regenerative situation with the nerves, and the pain might come back. So I mean, you were back to work, but then all of a sudden, what happens next? Why don't you tell us, Sam?
Yeah, I went back to work for a few months. I was really happy. And then the pain started coming back to the point where I was unable to work again. It was unbearable.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I remember. I remember, and that was a very sad moment. That this wasn't just nipped in the bud, and we couldn't just put it away. But we waited to see what happens. We didn't rush it, because we're not trying to do that. And it did come back. So then I think we send you back to your doctor. I think we set you up with a second opinion,
Yes.
um, because the next steps are a lot more serious.
That's great.
So and again with a hostile, with quotes, insurance carrier that's looking for every way out. You know, it's it's a little bit risky. I mean, no fault. We know New York State is a no fault state, so the first $50,000 of medical treatment is treated by the vehicle's insurance that you were in. So that was you and your wife's insurance. So that's one thing. But well, you'll tell us in a moment what the suggestion was, and I'll just say that no fault was not going to cover that nut.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So they wanted to do a spinal fusion on my back.
Right. What's that for the crowd?
That's when they use hardware to fuse two different levels of your spine together.
Wow.
Um, and it's not a cheap surgery.
No, not at all. I was paying the liens off.
Yeah.
It's not a cheap surgery. It's also not a simple surgery by any
No.
means.
And the recovery was intense. Recovery from that surgery was intense.
Right. And I'm sure you're probably doing maintenance really for the rest of your life. It's not I mean, you got to be in your best shape. shouldn't be slouching. You gotta be
Correct.
exercising,
Yeah.
building up all those ancillary muscles, and you can't overdo it either. It's not a joke. So you go back to your the first doctor and the second opinion, and they just lay it out for you. They say,
Yeah.
well, listen, we can't do a disectomy because you did that once before, and there's just not enough there to take to scoop out,
Correct.
right? And it's risky business. No doctor's going to sign up for that. And the ablation we saw didn't work. So now they're telling you the only other option here is a fusion. So again, I'm not one to pressure, and it's life changing. So I'm telling you, Sam, take a few days off, think about it long and hard, discuss it with your wife, with your family, with your priest, with your best friend, sleep on it, and then you come back, and that's
Yeah.
when you made the decision.
Yeah. I think it took me about a week or so
Yeah.
to finally make the decision because I was honestly terrified of the surgery.
Oh, it's scary
Yeah.
stuff. Now you're pretty good with the internet. You found me on the internet, and your initial doctors you found, and then my guys you cross referenced. That I recommended to you.
Yeah.
Um, so you had doctors with golden hands, thank God,
Yes, I did.
and it wasn't just fluff they put out there on the web. It was
No,
real.
no. Yes. I had phenomenal physicians treating me the entire time. All the docs you recommended were great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear. I'll let the doctors know too. By the way, it keeps them going. Yeah. You always wonder to yourself, how many thank yous do they get at the end of all this? You know what I'm saying? So I hear you. So that was done just on our timeline. That was done around February. I'm sorry, around June of 25. And your recovery is for quite some time. How long is the recovery?
It was 4 months of
Unbelievable.
physical therapy and of pain management before my spine actually fused together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So then what happens next? I mean, in your world, I get, you're feeling a lot better 4 months out. We're talking about already October of 25. You start looking for work, and I'm happy to say you found work and end of December,
Yes.
and you're still there.
Yes.
Well, we're not going to mention what you do, but you told me what you do, and I think it's very honorable.
Thank you, sir.
And that's for your emotional well-being and your mind. It's a beautiful thing that you're back out there working. But I should just mention, so when we're in the middle of treatment, we're not pushing settlement because you're still treating, and you treat for as long as you need to treat. There's something called an IME. And that didn't happen in this case, but that's it's an examination by it's basically a medical examination that the no fault provider has you submit to, and they have their doctor look you up and down and make a determination whether or not you should continue treating. So. I mean, you're not going to find it on a website, but I find that these IMEs many times over, they come back and they say, "Oh, wouldn't you know it? You don't need to treat anymore." So, what do we tell our clients? Stop treating? No, because I always tell the client, "Well, what does your doctor say?" Your doctor.
My doctor told me to continue treatment the entire time. The specialist, the orthopedic specialist I went to, he said the only way I'm going to get pain relief is by having surgery done.
Right. Right. So once we get to a happy place where your treatments are no longer, let's just say, 3, 4 times a week or 2, 3 times a week, and it's becoming more and more homework at home and less, coming in. That's when we really went back to the drawing board and went for our second round of trying to get your personal carrier to settle with you. And they offered us a different number. It was nowhere near the embarrassing number they offered us the first time. But I remember my reaction. You were not on the line with me. I I started. I'm not gonna say I started yelling at the adjuster, but I basically said, "Listen, you're out of touch with reality. You're out of touch with reality because this guy just had a fusion done. He's already had an ablation, and they keep coming back to the 5 6 weeks of gap in treatment." I said, "That's hogwash. Gap in treatment doesn't mean a guy goes jumps 40 hula hoops and 10 steps and ends up getting a fusion. You know what I mean?" And oh, but the prior this and that, and I'm like, yeah, okay, look at the MRIs. That's another thing. You know what I mean? We went out of our way to get the MRIs from the first from the first incident that you had prior to meeting me back in 2022, and we compared it with the new MRIs that from the accident you had in 24, and I got I got a doctor's report from what's it called from your surgeon explaining, in depth why he chose what he chose, and we had to prove to them that you didn't have consistent pains from your first accident. It was a whole back and forth, but they weren't budging. I think they raised the ante a little bit, and this is going on for a few weeks. And I'm telling you, Sam, thanks for your patience. Be a little bit more patient. Let's see. Because the next step on my end is we gotta gear up. It's either from here it's either we're going to arbitration, which I'll talk about in a minute, or we're going to suit, or we're going to file.
Mhm.
And what I like to do, I talk to my friends, my colleagues in the industry. So this is a shout out, and you know who you are. I'm not going to say last names. I'll just say first names. A shout out to Yaakov, a shout out to Solomon, shout out to Ellie, shout out to Mikhail. Talking to my colleagues, and I'm thinking, which way should I go? What should I do? Because everything has its pluses and its minuses. Talking to a few other guys, the names aren't coming to mind right now. Um, so, and not all the opinions were the same, by the way.
Yeah. I remember you called me and discussed that with me as well.
Yeah, well, of course we had to, because one opinion was, hey, look, you take it to trial, you know, you got to convince a jury about that gap in treatment situation or about that prior. I'm not going to say who what, but one opinion was like, if they're offering you 150, take it and run. Another one or two opinions was like, no, you know what? You know, you must take it to trial. And the remainder of the one or two opinions was, no, I would actually go to arbitration. So that's when I called you. And I remember telling you, Sam, you go to trial, it could take a long time.
Mhm.
And it's a little bit risky, but personality wise, I think you're a great personality, you're a great communicator. And I'm not afraid of you taking the stand. Because we're gonna have the depositions. They might call you up on the stand at trial. And there's certain people you just don't want them to talk. You know what I'm saying? They'll hurt themselves more than anyone. But you weren't that guy. You were not that guy. Your thoughts, you're very organized in your mind, and you're very clear. It's not all gibberish. And I thought personally you would do great on the stand. So I wasn't worried about that. But the time was kind of, because we're already in this already a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I'm saying to myself, this could be eventually a tactic for them to just keep it in the oven for another 2 years, 3 years. So that was one item. But I was confident we would do very well in trial. But then, because of your damages, and your damages were, in my opinion, way more than the coverage you even had with your underinsured motorist coverage. So that gave me confidence to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should take it to arbitration. What I like about arbitration is it's a lot quicker.
Mhm.
You're talking about 6 to 9 months. And I remember doing this whole back and forth with you, and I told you my gut is to take it to arbitration because whatever you had in coverage, your damages, in my humble opinion, were at least 3 to 4 times more, if not 7 times more than your coverage. So I felt strongly about it. And you want to give your response, or should I describe it?
No, you go ahead, sir.
I think was you were very graceful. You said, "Isaac, I trust you. I'm going with your judgment." That meant a lot to me. I want to thank you again. I'm thanking Sam a lot on this podcast, but it did mean a lot. Sometimes because sometimes you have clients that have these bold and brave ideas, and you're kind of like in your head, like, this is crazy. And like you can have a client that says, "I want to settle now. Just let's cut our losses." And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm not pushing you for that. You could do a whole lot better. No, no, no. I'm done. Or you tell them, "Hey, are you taking your treatment seriously? The doctor told you got to come in 3 times a week." "Oh, but my job." I understand, but first of all, what kind of effective work are you doing if you're basically sluggish and broken at work? I mean, you got to do the effort and the time it takes, sweat, blood, and tears to get better, and then you give it your all. People just they have all sorts of notions and opinions and ideas. Um, but I guess because we were working together for so long, I mean, I guess I established that trust by you.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna say we spun the dice because I don't think it was. I don't look at it as a guess. I think that I think it was the right way to go. I was confident about it. I wasn't crying in no bathroom. I wasn't breaking into sweats. And we went through arbitration. And so what happens next when you go through arbitration? The adjuster is no longer the lead on the carrier side of it. They already give it over now to their legal counsel. Usually it's not in-house. Usually it's a firm contracted to handle their stuff. Now, most of the time it's to handle the stuff to go to trial. In this situation, it was actually, to go to arbitration. So arbitration gets back to us and they're like, "Okay, we're going to have our meeting in, let's say, I think it was like 3 months out." And they basically tell both sides, in their boilerplate, like email or letter, whatever it is that they sent to us, bring all your proofs, bring your game on, bring your best game, and we'll come to a determination. Arbitrators are usually, former attorneys, former judges. They get training. They're professionals. They have experience in litigation, or experience in the selected field that you're trying to arbitrate, like in this situation, a personal injury. And again, this is a contractual dispute at this point. We're not going for for the other side. This is, so to speak, your side. But they're the ones that are refusing to give you what they promised to give you.
Yeah.
So their legal team reaches out to me. Nice lady. She sends me an email like, "Okay, so we have this thing going on in 3 months. I want to adjourn it," which basically in plain old English means I want to put it over so that, your client could take his IMEs so that we can get depositions done. And I want you to send me medical records, this and that, the other. So I respond back to her like, "I'm not adjourning it." Um, you know, she says back to me like, if you don't adjourn, because she's arguing that I need these things as of right, which you could it's more than fair to say that she does. But my thing is, well, you're going to get an arbitration if you don't already have it, by the way, because we've been forth with the whole time. And then not only that, what really bothered me, what really pissed me off is like, why do you need to push something out that's already pushed out 3 months? If you adjourn it, when's going to be our actual sit down date? 6 months from now? My client waited long enough. And again, this is all a tactic. They do this to buy time. So she's telling me, well, you know what? I'm going to put it in motion. Something I'll tell you about motions. These big firms, on a motion that should be no more than 4 pages, they love to write 40 pages because they want to outgun you. And although you can make an argument that AI makes that a lot easier today, but I would never say to you to just rely on AI. I've caught AI lying to me on like personal questions. One time I asked the ChatGPT a question, and it was like, to be honest with you, and I was like, what? You're like a robot computer thing. Like, what do you mean to be honest with me? Just answer my question. So they give you these 40-page motions or whatnot to outgun you, and again, it's because this it could be done in 4 pages, probably could be done in less. You know what I'm saying? But she's like, I'm gonna put it in motion. I'm gonna write in motion. So I'm like, okay, go do your motion. I'm prepared. We're gonna do what we need to do now. We're not backing down. So she sends us this fat motion, like to be expected. And but every conversation was like, you push with one hand, you pull with the other. She always kind of left the door for a possible settlement. She was, I mean, in hindsight, I see she was trying to call my bluff. She wanted me to break on her bluff. I wasn't bluffing. She was the one saying, "Well, let's see what happens next."
Mhm.
So she serves me with a copy of the motion, and we have whatever time the court allocated for us to answer it. And before it even gets to that, she had emailed me and says, "Give me a call. Let's talk." So finally, puts her guard down, talks to me like a person, with not that I need her respect, but like just respecting what you went through, your own, your circumstances. She says, "Hey, listen, if you bear with me, I think I can settle this thing." And I guess because she had to ask, "What are you looking for?"
Mhm.
I said, "I'm looking for exactly what I've been looking for from day one, the full policy, because that's what my client deserves, and that's what my client needs." And she says, "Well, let me see what I can do." And she reaches back out to the original adjuster. And my understanding, after everything was said and done, this is what I hear from her. He was basically the adjuster. There was two of them, so it might have been he or she. I don't remember which one she spoke with. They were basically doing jumping jacks, and they were saying, "You gave us what we needed to bring it up to the underwriter or to their senior, their manager. I don't know what, um, and we're gonna get this thing panned out." And that's when we got the good news. You know what I mean? And I think we ended up formally receiving the check and settling out in February of this year.
Mhm.
We're here today because it took some time. We had to the check had to clear. We had to cover liens. Like you said before, that surgery was no small surgery.
No, very expensive.
Yeah, and that's the end of our journey, and here we are at the podcast, room over here by Kakoff. Big shout out to Kakoff Media, personal friends of mine. I've known them for years. I use them for everything, business and personal. They're so good with what they do in terms of videography and just the advertisement. I think I hired them for my son's bar mitzvah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
They
they're
have a
good
beautiful
guys. I've
office.
known them forever. Good guys. Recommend them to all. And Sam, thank you again. And any closing words?
No, I just wanna thank you so much, Isaac, for being my support throughout this entire time. You helped guide me the entire way, and for that, I'll be entirely grateful.
I appreciate you, and we're more than just attorney client. We really became friends, and to a certain extent, like brothers. We
Yeah.
fought battles together, and I'm glad to say we won them both. And I hope that that this award should really be beneficial for you and your family. And I can't thank you enough for having that confidence in me. And yeah, I couldn't have had a better partner in all this because you had all your ducks in order, and you were in the most pressuring of times. I mean, when you tell somebody that's not working for months and the debts are growing and the savings are shrinking, and you tell them just a little bit more, just a little bit more, and I'm not trying to buy time. I'm thinking it's gonna be this time. We're gonna get it done. Um, you were graceful all the way through, and I appreciate that. So thank you again. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.